Hi, my name is Juan Ulloa, and today we're going to be talking about setting up the foundation of your web presence. This is part of a pragmatic guide for small businesses to set up your web presence. In the last video, we talked a little bit about your web presence name and how it's utilized in the domain name of your website, and how it's also, or should be, or you should try to have it as part of the name that you use across all your social media websites and your entire web presence. That's why it's all a cohesive experience. I want to talk about setting up the foundation of your web presence. We want to do 4 things. The first is to set up your basic website. Second is to get search engines to index your website. We also want search engines to find your business, to actually have your business listing in the search engines. This way, regardless of whether you have a website or not, people can find you. And the last one is to set up your social media. And this is just a basic setup. It's just a skeleton of what we'll want to do. Here's a pro tip. You're going to be setting up a lot of passwords over the course of your social media, your website, potentially all the Google and Bing accounts, that it makes sense for you to just use a password manager. What's great about a password manager is that it will allow you to keep track of all your passwords across all the websites. You can create very secure passwords that you don't have to remember. You just have to remember one password, just the password of your password manager. So this is great. I've used 2 of the password managers that are on this list. I won't mention them because you don't really need to know which ones I use. Cool. Let's talk about building your first very basic website. If you already have a website, just skip ahead because this is going to be incredibly basic. The goal of this website is for you to have something online quickly for search engines to find and index, right? So I want you to put some text together about your organization, your company, your business. I want you to not think about images, and I want you to not think about design. Also, assume that you're going to be replacing or iterating on this website in the next 2 weeks. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something. To get going on your website, I want you to start with a basic document. You could use Google Docs or Microsoft Word or whatever text editor that you use or you have handy, right? And I want you to answer these 3 basic questions in that document. Who are you? Like you meaning your business, right? And briefly, like the elevator pitch, like when somebody says, hey, what does your company do? Say that. That's what I want you to write down. Mention what you offer. What are the services that your organization offers? Again, briefly. Later on in 2 weeks, you can elaborate on it, but for right now, just be super brief. And the last thing is how people get a hold of you, right? What's your address? What's your email? What's your phone number? Whatever you want to put on your website, put all those things so people know how to get a hold of you. They know what services you offer, and most importantly, who you are. What is your business? Okay? And after you're done with that document, show it to somebody, get them to read it, see if it makes sense to them. Does it read like a website might, right? Like if they were looking at your website, does it say all the key things that might get them to understand what you do as a business, who you are as a business, and how to get a hold of you? Once you have that document ready, I want you to build your website. Again, we're not designing your website. I want you to build it. I want you just to take that text that you wrote and slap it on a website. That's all you got to do. What website builders should you use? There's like hundreds of them, maybe even thousands of them online. So here's just 4 that I posted on this slide. And to tell you the truth, I've never used any of them. They're just some of the top, supposedly most easy tools to use to build your website. And quick little pro tip, if you search online, you go to YouTube and you say, getting started with, let's say, Wix.com, or building your first website on Squarespace, or tutorial for Weebly, you'll find something and some video that just gets you started on how to build your website. And then just follow that tutorial. Here's 3 tips. I already mentioned one of them, which is to use YouTube to help you find tutorials on how to build your website. The second one is the last video we talked about finding your domain name, and I said just hold off, don't buy it quite yet. In the process of you building the website, and usually right around the time when you hit publish, it'll ask you where you want to publish it. That's when you'll connect your domain name and buy your domain name or purchase your domain name so you own it and it gets connected to your website. Some of these website builders, that's the point when they start charging you for their services, is when they connect your domain name to it. Chances are, if they're not asking you for a domain name, you haven't purchased the right level. You want to make sure that you have your domain name associated with your website. And the last tip I want you to do is just to delete all the images. Most of these website builders already come with all these canned images that aren't gonna make sense for your company anyways, so just delete them. I know it's gonna be hard, it's gonna look not so good. I don't care about how good it looks. I want it to be functional. I want you to have all the text. Later on, 2 weeks from now, you can start adding images. Hopefully it's actual photography about your business. If you sell services, maybe it's actual pictures of you and your partner or whoever you're building this business with. Or you might end up choosing to purchase images from all these like companies that you can buy like stock photography from. But you're likely not going to want to use the images that came with these website builders. So just remove them. And that'll force you to learn how to use these tools a little bit more as you start slowly iterating on your website. Once you have your website online, pat yourself in the back. Congratulations, you have a very basic website, and you should be able to type in your web address or domain name, and you should be able to access your website. So congratulations, you made it through the first step of this process. Now the next part is you want to get search engines to find you. It's possible that website builder that you used may have some system already in place where you click a button and it sets you up so it connects all the search engines to your website and it gets them to crawl your website. If that's the case, awesome, you can skip this step. If not, I want you to get at least Google to index you. That's the most popular search engine. So if you go to this address, search.google.com/search-console/welcome, you should land on a page that looks a little bit like the one in front of you, and that should walk you through that whole process. You might have to create an account. I'm not 100% sure. I was already logged in when I captured that screenshot. So, and I'm always logged into all these Google products anyways. So anyways, go to that page, type in your domain name, enter it into the system, and it'll trigger a job in the Google indexer to crawl your website. That's step 1. Step 2, if you want, go back to that website builder that you used, and it's possible they have something that says like index crawling or, you know, submit to search engines or some little functionality there, and just click the button and it might just do all of this job for you. You've created your very basic website. You got the search engines to index your website. Awesome, congratulations. You're halfway through this work. In fact, more than halfway through the work that I want you to get going in terms of your foundation of your web presence. What I want you to do next is to get your business listing on the search engines. Like I mentioned in the first video of this series, a lot of your customers may find you through the search engine, but may never actually go to your website because that business listing has all the information they need about your business. But if they need more information, there's usually a link in that listing to take you to your website to find out more information. So this is a critical piece of your web presence. To get your business listed in the Google business listings, what I want you to do is go to www.google.com/business. You may have to create another account right here, and that's okay. Just follow the steps and it'll just walk you through the whole process. And since you already have a website, at some point it's going to ask you to type in your web URL in there, your web address, so then everything gets all connected. Just follow the steps and you'll be just fine. And it's okay if you don't have all the pieces. They might ask you for images and other things. Don't worry about it quite yet. You could always come back to this page and get it taken care of. After you've set it up in Google, remember Google's the most common and most popular search engine. You want to get that one done. Then you go into Bing. So for Bing, you go to bingplaces.com and just follow the same steps. It'll look very different, as you can tell from these last two slides, but you still have to create an account and you have to go through the steps to get your business listed on Bing as well. Thing you should note with both Bing and Google, if you've had your business for a while, it's possible your business is already listed on both those sites. So in those cases, you'll find that what you have to do is claim your business. So that at that point you own it and you can make changes. And best of all, in these sites, sometimes people can start commenting and doing other things about your business. You can start curating some of that information and even responding to people who may have left some feedback about your business. So this is great. It's part of owning your business online. Awesome. We've done 3 of the things we wanted to do. The last one is to set up your social media accounts. Remember, we're not trying to set up all of your social media and get them all up and running. All we're trying to do is set up a skeleton of your social media, regardless of whether you're going to use it or not. We just want to create the accounts. That's all we want to do. At first, just create the accounts and just do it on the main, top, most important social media platforms. Right now, I would say they're Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I probably should have mentioned YouTube and Twitter, right? So you want to get it all across those sites. And what you want to do is make sure that your web presence name, your company name, is what you use for all of those. That way it's all tied together. And again, you don't have to start posting on those platforms. You just want to get them all ready. So when you want to use them in the future, they're all set. And also, so you own that name. You want to make sure that name is as consistent as possible across all your social media accounts. Other companies or organizations or people may have taken one of your names. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. But this is a good time to try to get them all as close as possible to your web presence name. This also adds a little bit of consistency, and it also makes it look like you are the business you say you are, because all of these names match. That's it. Those are the 4 things I wanted you to do to get your web presence foundation laid. Okay? Get your website up and running. Just plain text, nothing complicated, just super simple, a little rough around the edges. It's okay, but at least it's legible, it makes sense. It answers the 3 main questions you need a website to answer. You've gotten a search engine to index your website. That's great. Might take a few weeks, maybe a couple months for it to complete, but it's okay. And you've gotten your business listing, you own it, you have control over it, and you've set up your web presence in the main social media accounts. And hopefully you're using a password manager like I mentioned earlier, because you just created at least 6, 7, maybe 8 accounts in the course of the work that I'm asking you to do in this video. And you want to make sure that those passwords are strong so nobody hacks into them. And a password manager is great for that, because if you start using the same password, you're just waiting for trouble. So just make sure you have strong passwords, keep those passwords managed, and then you're good to go. Then you have to start iterating on that website and doing some great things, and hopefully I'll create some more videos for you to get some tips on how to improve your website and your web presence. Thank you.